Hello and welcome to Thought for July the 29th. Our readings are 2 Samuel chapter 15, Jeremiah chapter 19 and Romans chapters 3 and 4. Our thought is, fully convinced that God was able. The lives of all who commit themselves to serve God travel along their own particular paths. Paul, in his letter to the Romans we read today, reflects on the life of Abraham as he grew strong in faith and how he became fully convinced that God was able to do what he had promised. Chapter 4 verses 20 and 21. Abraham's faith went from strength to strength. He believed from his heart what God said. Paul says he did not weaken in faith when he considered his own body, which was as good as dead, and he was now about 100 years old, or when he considered the barrenness of Sarah's womb. No distrust made him waver. Verses 19 and 20. Now compare David's situation with Abraham. David was despondent. He had climbed the pinnacles of faith, but then his thinking and resultant behaviour had hit a blind spot after his actions with Bathsheba. God's words bore heavily on his mind. Because you have despised me, I will raise up evil against you out of your own house. 2 Samuel 12 verses 10 to 11. It is clear David experienced deep depression. He ceased to be actively involved in administering justice, and Absalom, as we read today in chapter 15, took advantage of this. David was overwhelmed by events. His faith had lost its focus. But in his inner being, he knew all was in the hands of God, and he clung to that conviction. We read today how he flees from Jerusalem, saying, "If I find favour in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me back." Verse 25. It is a contrast in some ways to Abraham, who grew stronger in his advancing years. Jeremiah's challenges are different again. Today we read how he is told by God, "Behold, I am bringing such disaster on this place that the ears of everyone who hears it will tingle." Chapter 19 verse 3. In this 21st century we have more in common with Jeremiah than with Abraham and David. Jeremiah was to be in the midst of the disaster brought by God because of the people's total ungodliness, and he survived it. In coming days we will read how God reveals warnings to Jeremiah about the latter days. Chapter 23 verse 20, for instance, and chapter 30 verse 24. If we really meditate on these warnings, they will cause us to think of the greater challenges our own journey in faith is going to face as our world is overwhelmed by God's judgments. These challenges may be quite near, so let us become fully convinced that God is able to do what he promised, and make sure we are on the Lord's side. Well, thank you once again for joining us for Thought for the Day, where together we can open up the pages of God's Word, knowing that Word to be a lamp to our feet and a light to our path.